Hey everyone, welcome to Wargaming Parrot. I'm David and today's video is how to prepare for when you bring your cockatiel home. It's another one of those requested videos. I've been trying to go through the videos people have been requesting most over on community or via DM, and just to sort of give you what you want. I'm here with a quite noisy fish and chips out of my head, and I'm just going to go through everything with you. So in this video I'm going to break it up into three sort of different subsection steps to make it easier to follow. First one's going to be what to do before you bring your cockatiel home. The next one's going to be a list of essentials and sort of things I reckon you should do and get. And then finally, the sort of first steps you want to take when you've actually got your cockatiel home and sort of ways you can make the process smoother for you and them. Many of the tips in this video will apply to other parrot species, so by all means do watch it if you're thinking of getting another bird. However, I thought I'd do one specifically to cockatiels because I've been doing a lot of videos, generic videos on all sorts of parrots and conures, and I just wanted to get these guys and give them a bit of time in the sun, so to speak. So arguably the very first and most important step you want to take before you've even got your cockatiel home, you just decided you want one, is do lots and lots of research. It's very easy to sort of jump into getting any sort of pet, and it's just so useful to know what you're getting into, because even though these guys are one of those, well, in inverted commas, common, easy pets as people refer to them as, I wouldn't say they are. I think they're quite difficult to involve like all parrots. You just need to know as much as you can, and you can do this simply by going on YouTube. You can watch my channel, you can watch Sophie's, you can watch all sorts of other great parrot training channels and just learn everything about them. You can learn about their diet, learn about their behaviour, what sort of traits they have, what quirks they have, what scares them, all sorts of things that will make your life so much easier when you start to think about getting close to that date when you actually get your cockatiel home. And by preparing like this, you can reduce the stress on yourself because you know exactly what you're doing, and you can reduce the stress a lot on them because everything will be nice and set up for them and they won't be stressed at all. Next most important thing before you bring your cockatiel home, I think, is picking a room and a spot for them to go. So you generally want them to be somewhere where they can have nice and quiet at night so they can sleep, but it's nice and active during the day so they can be part of, well, like part of the flock almost, like with you guys. So if you've got a solo bird, this is even more important because you are going to be that bird's interaction. If you've got a pair, you can put them somewhere a little bit quieter, but again, it's just better to have them involved because obviously you're getting them so you can enjoy them and they can enjoy being with you. So pick a nice room. I mean, we have all our birds in our living room. Some people will have a dedicated bird room, will have multiple birds and they can just be out all the time. That's also awesome. Some people choose bedrooms, especially if they're in there working a lot or studies. However, do avoid putting them somewhere where there's not going to be much going on because it's going to be boring for them and, you know, it's just not very stimulating and exciting. Following on from this immediately is, if you can, buy the cage and get it set up before. I've got a really good video on cockatiel cage setup, which I'll leave a card for now. It's one of my first videos, so please excuse any editorial mistakes. However, it's still useful and relevant. And if you can get that cage ready and set up and in place before you even bring them home, it's going to save a lot of faff when you do, because you won't be sort of stressing about it and trying to get them in and trying to get everything set up while they're waiting in a carrier or the little box that some pet stores provide. So just get it all set up and know exactly what you're doing with that. So another very important thing, and my final sort of step for prep work, is getting into good habits. Now, getting into good habits, that means shutting doors, shutting windows, and communicating with other family members that you are doing this. One of the most common ways that small parrots escape or flee is because someone has opened the front door and not told anyone that the bird's out, or not told them they're coming home. So just being aware and getting good habits, you know, just informing other people in the household, oh, I'm going out now, I'm going to open the door, then they can be like, oh, no, the bird's out, and they can shut the door to that relevant room. And it'll just make it a lot easier. Also, get into good habits of being maybe a little bit quieter at night time so they can get their sleep, because it is a lifestyle choice having parrots. Even from the smallest budgie all the way to the biggest macaw, you are going to have to change your lifestyle a little bit to adapt. Just being aware, being a little bit quieter at night, and just getting into those really good habits so you won't be caught out and you won't have any horrible incidents of your cockatiel flying out the front door and never being found again, because no one ever wants that to happen. I've covered what to do before you bring your cockatiel home. Now I'm going to cover all the things you should get, and this is the main meat of this video because this is what people have been asking me most about. So the first one's pretty much an obvious one, and that is a cage. Make sure you get a decent sized cage and get it, as I said in the previous section, get it set up and get it ready. If you get that cage in advance, you're sorted, and make sure it is as big as possible. I know sometimes it's difficult to fit huge cages in, but there's some perfectly good medium-sized cages like the Liberta Oregon that we use, which is great for them. It gives them plenty of room to stretch their wings, plenty of room to also play with toys and just generally enjoy being in there, because ultimately their cage is their bedroom, it is their home, it is the place they should be relaxing, having fun in, just like our bedroom where we have it nicely kitted out with a television, a nice bed, etc. That is their cage. It shouldn't be treated as a cage, it should be treated as a home, and then they enjoy this time in there, and then they can enjoy their time outside the cage with you, doing all sorts of fun things too. Now you've got your cage, you want to be getting as many toys as possible, you want to get lots of perches, and preferably if you can, stainless steel bowls, because they're much healthier for the birds and easier to clean. Chip's just going to fly off, I'll send Fish off with him so he can go and relax over there for a moment. But yes, get as many toys as you can, preferably nice shreddable toys. I have a sort of toy guide, which I'll leave a card for now, that you can watch and get some ideas from. I also have some toys on my Amazon store, but generally you want to be having toys made out of natural materials. This means palm, balsa, yucca, paper, cardboard, things they can easily get their beak in. So with cockatiels especially, hard woods, hard plastics, they can't chew them, they can't enjoy them as much. You can also make plenty of DIY toys. I have videos on that, so please do check them out. Sophie also has some great DIY toy videos. I really like one of the latest ones because the birds have been going wild over one of them. But yes, and also while you're setting up, ensure that a few perch options up high so they can feel relaxed. They have sleeping positions they can choose from, especially with multiple birds, so they won't fight over them. The boys have been really noisy because they've seen a bird outside now, so I'll try and continue for a little while. Nice sleeping perches, all positioned at the top, and then you have perches allowing them to move around the cage easily and enjoy it. And then also, if you can, position the toys in similar locations so they can easily get at them. And also have those food and water bowls up high, because a lot of cages come with them down below, because even though cockatiels are ground feeders, when they're in a sort of captive environment, it's better to have them high because they'll feel safer eating up there. You can provide foraging opportunities down the bottom of the cage, however, this is something you may want to consider later on down the line. Quick example of what I mean by the cage setup. If you look here, we have two stainless steel metal bowls on either side for the boys in top of their cage. We have nice high up perches. They tend to, we used to have a couple of options for them up the top, but they seem to like this long thin one we got from the Natural Bird Product Company. It's got in sort of different thicknesses and textures which they love. And then lots and lots of toys all over the cage. If you want a bit more information, just have a peek at some of my videos. They go into this stuff in a lot more detail. Another essential item, which is more for your benefit than the cockatiels, is an air purifier. Cockatiels are powdery down birds, which means they produce a lot of dust, and there's going to be a lot of dust everywhere, and it could be a potential problem if you have asthma, or just be a little bit sort of irritating for you or your respiratory system. So it's useful to get an air purifier because it solves many of the problems. Since we've got one, it's made life so much easier. I'm going to leave a link in the description directly to the air purifier we use because we really like it. A lot of people had positive things to say about it too. Also, I want to mention a lot of the things I'm talking about will be in my Amazon store. You don't necessarily have to get anything from the Amazon store, but it's worth having a peek and maybe give you some ideas, and you can get some inspiration of the sort of things I'm talking about. Just thought I'd show you the air purifier we use just so you can see it in person. It's the usual sort of fare. Turn it on, comes with 3 different settings. The other thing I kind of like about it is it has a night light function as well. Some cockatiels may find it a little bit scary, others may absolutely love it. It's up to you if you want to use it or not. But yeah, it's just generally a useful device, and if you have it at a lower setting and on for longer, it's not very intrusive, and it can even be calming for your cockatiels as a noise. Little monsters are back for a moment because they got a little bit scared because a magpie flew on top of the roof, but we'll see how they stay with me. My next point is food. Now, if you can prepare some chop just before your birds are arriving, it's awesome because then you can get them involved with it very early on, because generally you want your cockatiel to be eating the healthiest diet possible, and most pet stores will just try to push seed on you, and while seed's fine in moderation, you want to be getting them into a healthier diet as quickly as possible. Saying this, while it's good to transition them as quickly as possible, you do still want to be giving them what they're originally eating in the pet store, wherever you got them from to rescue, because they may not want to transition immediately, so give them some time, but maybe give them another option, another bowl, so they can start eating it. An absolutely essential item for anyone who's getting a cockatiel is a night light. Now, cockatiels are exceptionally prone to night fright, which means they can get scared or spooked overnight for various things. So it's very important that you provide a night light because it reduces the risk of this. You can also reduce the risk of this by not covering or partial covering your parrot, but that's something else I've gone into in other videos. If you get a night light, they can see what's going on around them and they're less likely to get scared because they'll see what's going on rather than being like, oh my goodness, something stirred, it's a monster coming to get me, when in reality it's just one of their toys shifting under another cage or on a table. So that night light is an essential purchase. It's not very expensive. Again, examples in the Amazon store, and it's just an essential purchase for anyone getting a cockatiel. Another thing worth considering before you get your cockatiel home is buying some outside toys. So generally you want to be having them out and about, having fun interacting. So it might be worth considering getting yourself a play stand, making a little foraging tray, homemade foraging tray, or getting some sort of training toys like the Zoomax Teach Box. Not sponsored anyway, I just really love it because ever since I got that for the cockatiels, it's opened up a huge world of training. But there's all sorts of toys you can get or things you can make to make their life fun outside the cage. So if you can get some of them prepared before, it's awesome because you can just get them desensitized to them as quickly as possible and enjoying them. I'll show you some examples of some outside toys. We've got like a Northern Parrots basketball hoop. It's a bit larger, but you like chewing the links. A homemade foraging tray, a little box, and a teach box, which I'm hopefully going to get Chip to interact with now. Is he going to do it? Good boy. But these are some examples of some outside toys that you can have just to make your cockatiel's life a little bit more fun out and about. You can fill the foraging tray with all sorts of goodies. We've got some substrate Carefresh in there, lots of toys and bits and pieces. We've got a sprinkling of millet in there. Good boy, Chibi. One more? Can you do one more for the camera? Sorry about the sun, but can't really do much about the lighting here. Oh, okay, another spooky bird. Okay, you want to try again? Good boy. There's all sorts of fun things you can do with your cockatiel out and about. My final item and essential item to get before you get your cockatiel home is a Birdie first aid kit. I've got a video on a sort of Birdie first aid, which I'll leave a card for now. The boys are off again. They're really enjoying their flying today, which is awesome. But a Birdie first aid kit is an absolute essential. It's made up of loads of different items. Again, Amazon store, have a peek and you can see some examples of this. But you generally want some sort of saline solution. You can get some cornstarch, which is awesome for stopping any minor injuries or bleeding if they have a night fright. You can get items like cayenne pepper. There's all sorts of things that are well worth having in there. So I'd strongly consider getting one of these if you've got a cockatiel or any sort of parrot because they're very, very useful. I thought it might be useful just to show you an example of our Birdie first aid kit. In there we have F10 ointment, which is awesome, a little syringe. We've got cornstarch in there. We've also got something called Guardian Angel, which is very good for if the birds get stressed. We have some bandage, and we also have some cayenne pepper, which is very good for pain relief. But here's just a, oh, and also just under there, if you can see it, some saline solution droppers. This is a good example of a Birdie first aid kit, and as I said, I've got a video which covers how to build it and goes into more detail about its contents. I've covered what to do to prepare, I've covered what to get. Now I'd like to talk about the first steps. So you've prepared everything, and now you've got your cockatiel home, and what you can do as your first steps towards it. Boys are off again. I'm just going to let them enjoy themselves because that's what they do. So one of the very first steps and things you should consider when you've got your cockatiel home is don't rush them, don't get them out immediately. Some people recommend getting your bird out immediately, instantly, and it can work for some, but with smaller birds it is very dangerous. If you get them out immediately, they're confused, they're stressed, especially if they're a rescue, they could just end up flying out and hurting themselves. And many, many times through our consults we've learned this is what's happened, and people have had to dial back their interactions because the birds have become frightened of their new environment. So do strongly consider leaving them in the cage for a day or two just to get used to it, and just observing them and making sure you can sort of see how they're interacting. So they're more confident. After a day you can maybe try some interactions. If not, you have to leave it a little bit longer. So just tailor it to the individual bird and be observant. Leading on from this, don't forget to relax yourself. Take it easy with them, don't get stressed if maybe your interactions aren't as positive as you hoped right away, because they've just come into a new environment, they're a little bit stressed, and they need time to settle and adjust. So you just relax with it, enjoy the process of having them home, and it's an exciting thing, and don't rush with it. Even though I'm saying don't rush, you can still work on passive bonding, and with passive bonding, all it means is just being around your cockatiel. Doesn't mean you're actively like putting your hands in there or interacting. It just means being around them, maybe talking to them softly, and just sitting around doing your own thing. For me and Sophie, the good example was when we first got Chip and Fish home, we just pulled up chairs fairly close to their cage, but right not in their faces, and I was on my mobile and Sophie was reading. and that just got them used to being around us, but not in an intrusive way. If after a while they're receptive, you can maybe try it feeding them treats through the bars. For most cockatiels, they love millet. It's a horrible junk food, but it's great for training. So just give them a little bit of millet through the bars and seeing how they interact with you. It may seem like a bit of an obvious point, but I feel it's very important. When you've got your cockatiel home and they're just settling in, ensure they're actually eating, drinking and resting. So by eating, I mean obviously just going to their bowls and eating normally. By drinking, making sure they take regular drinks. If not, maybe consider moving the bowl somewhere else so they feel more secure. If so, awesome. Also make sure they're resting. Now when they're resting, they're generally putting a foot up in the fluff and fluffing up and relaxing, sometimes turning their head around. If they're not sleeping, it can be a sign of stress. It may also mean you need more high up perches. Fish has a very strong opinion on this because he needs his beauty sleep. So make sure that you have nice high up perches and make sure they're resting properly. Just as an extra to this, if you notice they're not eating, not drinking and not sleeping, they're showing other signs of concern, it may be worth contacting an avian vet and just making sure that it's all okay and getting them a health checkup. Generally, a lot of people do like to get their parrots health checked when they bring them home. It is something that's considered optional, however, it is something very useful to do. A lot of reliable breeds will provide you a sort of like full bill of health. However, it's something you can do yourself just to make sure that they're okay. So you've got them home, you've given them some time to settle, they're eating, drinking normally, they're all happy. After this, you can start active bonding with them. That means feeding through the bars, getting them desensitized to your hand potentially by just leaving it very still in the cage. Again, I have videos on this sort of topic, so I don't really want to go over them too much now, but it's all sorts of things you can do to start building that bond with your bird. You can even try getting them out if they're hand tame. However, if they're a rescue or they're not, it'd be worth working with them inside the cage initially so there's no accidents or nothing going wrong. So guys, I've managed to get Chip and Fish back on me for the end of this video. Don't know how long they'll stay, but they're having fun while I'm filming, so why not? These guys are a lot of effort. There's a lot of prep work involved with them and a lot of care, but if you can do all of it, they're absolutely adorable pets. They're so full of character and so full of personality, and they're absolutely amazing. So I hope you guys found this video useful. If you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to leave them down below. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching, take care and have a great day.